We're with the ever-talented Joe Buck. And Joe, we've talked many times before. I think the first time you were doing Mizzou basketball and Cardinal baseball, then the next time you just got the Fox football. Then we got you when you're doing Fox World Series. What is next for Joe Buck?
Well, I'm going to have my own sitcom on Fox. It's about a young announcer who's got a Hall of Fame dad. It's really going to be a stretch for me. I don't know. I'm pretty content doing what I'm doing. Like to step up what I'm doing in football and try to do the old Quinella, get the World Series and Super Bowl some year, but I think I'm a ways away from that. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Talk about the World Series for you last year. It was the first time you'd done it, obviously, for a national audience. How did you feel that went for you? I think you got some good response across the country.
Yeah, I think I went into that thing nervous beyond belief if I sat down and thought about it. So I'm not that smart. I don't think about a lot of things. So I kind of went into it and decided I'm going to have fun. If I bomb and if I'm horrendous and if I get ripped, I'm going to try to have fun doing it and do it the way I want to do it. And fortunately, that didn't happen. I got good response, which, I don't care who you talk to. They're lying to you if they tell you that doesn't affect them one way or another. And I think that gave me a little confidence as I went along. I knew it was going well. And because of that, I had fun with it. It was a great World Series, with the New York Yankees beating the Braves and coming back and winning those 4 in a row. It was something I'll never forget.
Now, obviously, your dad's Jack Buck, and probably get a lot from him, but do you see yourself modeling your style after anybody? Because we know you got a great sense of humor, and I really enjoy the way you kind of keep it fresh and fun with Al or whoever you're working with, Tim McCarver. Do you have somebody that you watched besides your dad or listened to that may have had that kind of sense to him?
Well, to be honest with you, if I were to answer that question honestly, I think I might pattern myself after people who aren't in sports broadcasting. I mean, I think we all, you and I grew up in kind of the David Letterman kind of era, even the Jay Leno now, but more Letterman. I don't hear a lot of broadcasters try to inject as much humor as I try to, and I'm going to try to do more and more. I think that's a gauge of how comfortable I get. The more humor that comes out, the more comfortable I'm feeling. So I think it's that kind of sense of humor, not to say that I'm, a real funny guy, but I think that you try to have fun with it, and if some of my jokes go over the heads of some of the older people listening, then I couldn't care less. If one guy gets a Spinal Tap reference or gets something that others don't, then I'd prefer it that way.
One night we heard the April wine comment. I enjoyed that with the smoke. The All-Star Game's coming up. Did you ever have any thoughts about doing that in your lifetime, and did you ever think you'd be... I mean, I kind of find it neat that you've done what you've done because you moved up so quickly, but the All-Star Game is something I've always thought about doing. What about yourself? Do you ever think about doing that at all?
You know what? I've never been to an All-Star Game in my life. My dad's done a number of them, and I never went with him. I think earlier because I was, at camp or working or doing something when I was younger, and then when I was in the minor leagues, obviously the two breaks don't coincide, and when I was here, I was a young married guy, and the last thing my wife wanted was during the break for me to go watch a baseball game. So I've never been to an All-Star game, and I'm looking forward to just watching the Home Run Derby and seeing all that goes into it, and then preparing for that one game as opposed to a series. And again, I'm really going to try to have fun with this thing. I think others have tried to make it a little too serious, and it's something that I've watched at home over the years and pictured myself doing, and now I'm getting that chance, so I'm looking forward to it.
The National League has won 2 in a row, and what do you think of the All-Star Game this year? It's always a fun little game for the fans to, if they're a Cardinal fan, root against for the NL.
Yeah, I think, I was talking about this today on a conference call with some of the critics around the country that the All-Star Game is almost like a throwback kind of game because you have these great pitchers, whether it's Randy Johnson or Roger Clemens or Greg Maddux, going 2 innings at a time, and it's almost like it used to be. The offense is brought down a notch, I think. You don't have the tired arms out there, middle relief guys are just getting hammered one night after another, and guys hitting 10 or 12 home runs, or teams hitting a handful of home runs a game. It's kind of a throwback, and for that I think it's refreshing. And now with interleague play, some people say, well, will it take away from the All-Star Game? I think it's going to do the opposite. I think there's more pride in each league now, and people are talking about it more in the middle of the season as opposed to the All-Star Game just coming out of nowhere. So I think it's going to be a fun game, and when you got guys like Griffey and McGuire and the National League pitching, I think it's going to be some good matchups.
Yeah, your thoughts on interleague play? You like it?
I liked it. I mean, I'm one of the guys that liked it from the start. beforehand, I was looking forward to it just to, as I said, get people talking about the game in the middle of the summer as opposed to waiting until the postseason. You can't stick your head in the sand and cry because you're a purist and say, well, they're messing with a game. They've been messing with this game since 1960. So this game's gone through 100 different changes, from the DH to the 3 divisions to even the 2 divisions within the leagues, and the wild card and arbitration and one thing after another. This seems to me to be the natural next step, and from the fan response, I think it's working.
Young reporters, young broadcasters, they have to practice. Now, you did a lot of stuff into the microphone as you were on the road with your father. What do you tell kids? I know you probably worked at the sportscaster camp today with Kim Hibbs. What do you tell the youngsters, and you being a youngster yourself, what do you tell them how to practice, to get somewhere close to the Fox Sports?
Well, I think the main thing you have to do, the only way you get better at doing play-by-play is by doing it. And it doesn't matter if you're sitting at home in your living room watching it on TV and doing it into a tape recorder, or if you're in the bleachers at a high school game doing it and maybe embarrassing yourself in front of a few people around you, or in the bleachers in a major league ballpark, whatever. The more you can do, the better you're going to get. And then what I tell these guys is get a tape together of little things that you like that you've done into a tape recorder, put it together, and go down to the winter meetings, or start peddling yourself to some of these minor league franchises. And if they hear a little talent, I think they'll jump on you. They'll be ready to hire you cheap. Just be ready to work for little or no money at all and get your experience that way.
And long-term goals, so is it the football Super Bowl? Is that the next? Because every time I ask you about a goal, it's, well, I'd like to work some baseball, get the lead, and move up in football. You've pretty much done it all now, but what is a long-term goal for you now?
A long-term unrealistic goal is to branch out into something other than sports. If in 15 years I was, doing some sort of a talk show, I might like doing that. Or, who knows, maybe being a zoologist. Somewhere in something, one of the two, either being a talk show host or dissecting fetal pigs.
Maybe you can do both on the same show.
That could happen. You never know. Fox might jump all over that, some of the stuff they're putting on.
Joe, thanks a lot. You're always a class act. You're always a pleasure with us, and we thank you very much. All right, Joe?
All right.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Sports Talk Weekly.